So just how did the big bad wolf become man's best friend? To find out, we're counting down the top 10 most extreme dogs on the planet as we search to find the pooch that's least like its ancestor, the wolf. Discover that some of our canine companions are more than just wolves in sheep's clothing when dogs are taken to the most extreme. Earth is a planet of extremes. Extreme places and extreme animals. But some animals are more extreme than others. Join us as we count down to find the most unusual, the most extraordinary, the most extreme. There was a time when wolves were the top dog. These fearsome predators competed with humans for food. But somewhere along the way, things changed. People started using the wolf for protection and help in hunting. In return, the wolf got a piece of the pie, and so the domestication of the dog began. Our first contender has changed little from its wolf ancestor. It's an ancient Australian called the Dingo. The Dingo is one of the oldest dogs in the world. It's thought that it arrived in Australia about 6,000 years ago on the boats of Asian seafarers. Genetically, the Dingo is related to similar dogs in Asia, so when it first set foot on the Australian continent, it was already a domesticated dog. And Australia was already home to an ancient race of hunters looking for a helping hand. The Aborigines formed a partnership with the Dingo. In some clans, the dogs were an important member of the family, living side by side with their human companions. But not all dingoes settle down with humans. In parts of Australia, the dingo roams free, using the skills of its ancestor, the wolf, to survive in the wild. The Dingo is number 10 in the countdown because, unlike some of the dogs we'll meet later in the show, human selective breeding has done little to change the Dingo over the years. In fact, dingoes can survive perfectly well by themselves. Dingoes will go anywhere and eat almost anything. Dingoes have had 6,000 years to get a taste for Australian wildlife. That's a long time, especially in dog years. If you believe that 1 year of a dog's life equals 7 human years, then dingoes have been in Australia for 42,000 dog years. But the next time you're throwing a birthday party for your dog, you might want to know that the 7-year calculation is no longer accurate. After all, lots of dogs live to be about 15 years old, but not many people live to be 105. That's why vets have come up with a new way of calculating your dog's age. The new formula counts the first 2 years of a dog's life as equivalent to 25 human years. The vets have based this on when a dog is mature enough to breed. And after that, dog years slow down. Every year after the second birthday is equal to 4 human years. So you do the math the next time you want to know how many candles to put on your canine's cake.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Molly. Happy birthday to you.
The dingo is old enough to still live wild like its ancestor the wolf. But the dingo's also young enough to be domesticated and live with people. It seems these dogs live on the fence, somewhere between being domesticated and wild. But as the countdown continues, we'll discover that all our selective breeding to emphasize certain traits of the wolf has been transforming a powerful predator into an increasingly pampered pooch. Sometimes the only way a dog or a wolf can get a meal is to run for it. Wolves have to be able to reach speeds of 50 kilometers an hour to even have a shot at getting a meal like a bison. So when humans first started breeding dogs for their own hunts, speed seemed like a perfect trait to encourage. The end result is the fastest dog in the world, the Greyhound. The Greyhound is number 9 in the countdown because after thousands of years of selective breeding, it can reach speeds a wolf could only dream of. At more than 60 kilometers per hour, they can outpace some racehorses. The Greyhound's body is built for speed. They have a thin aerodynamic head and streamlined ears, and a large chest with a huge lung capacity. Their claws act like cleats, and their tail moves like a rudder to keep them balanced as they sprint. A human would have no chance in a race against the Porsche of the pooch world. It only takes about 3 seconds for sprinters to reach top speed, but the dog will already be in the lead. A Greyhound can hit 69 kilometers an hour, nearly twice as fast as the best human sprinters. That's because the Greyhound covers the ground much faster, since each stride is more than twice as long as a human's. And despite being much smaller than a human, some dogs have relatively huge hearts. The Greyhound's heart is about the same size as ours, and it beats almost twice as fast to keep their muscles supplied with energizing oxygen. So when it comes to racing a dog, it's just no contest. Greyhounds were originally bred to hunt, but today there are few opportunities for these speed freaks to really stretch out. They're like Olympic athletes, all dressed up with no place to run. Many owners describe their Greyhounds as 60-kilometer-an-hour couch potatoes. They've come a long way since their glory days when they hunted with the pharaohs. Now it's the Greyhounds that get treated like royalty. But there is one place you can go if you want to release your city dog's inner hunter. Welcome to summer camp.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Each year, hundreds of dog lovers flock to Vermont to spend a week at Camp Gone to the Dogs. It costs about $1,000, but for the dogs, it's a week of pure bliss. It's a chance for even the most pampered pooches to run a little wild, according to camp director Honey Lawring.
So it gives you a chance to find out a whole lot about your dog and just love your dog even more because it does things you never even thought it could do. When you come to camp, you get a chance to let that instinct develop. When you see your dog, what's in there that you're letting have a chance to come out, it is a thrill.
There are workshops in agility, chasing decoys, herding, retrieving, and scent tracking. It's the perfect opportunity for city dogs to rediscover the wolf within. The Greyhound was originally bred to be a lean, mean hunting machine. But instead of running down bison like its ancestor the wolf, today the Greyhound gets to chase plastic bags. Here, domestication turned the wolf into a speed demon. But there are far bigger transformations coming up in the countdown. So far, we've seen hustling hounds and ancient Australians. But up next, we find out what dog smells the best. And later, we dish the dirt on a dog that's gone underground. That's coming up on The Most Extreme. To sniff out the next contender in our countdown of the world's most extreme dogs, we need to make use of the wolf's exceptional sense of smell. Wolves use odors to mark their territory, find a mate, and hunt for food. They've been known to sniff out prey from as far as 6 kilometers away. While wolves may track down their prey with their snouts, the dog at number 8 in the countdown also has a real nose for trouble. At the Miami International Airport in Florida, there are dogs looking for dangerous goods.
Come on, let's go this way.
The U.S. Customs and Border Protection Beagle Brigade are sniffing out contraband food items being brought into the country by overseas travelers. Certain fruits and meats can carry pests or disease, and if allowed to enter the U.S., can have devastating effects on crops. So it's up to the Beagles to find them before they leave the airport.
What you got?
Each dog is trained to detect the prohibited food and paw the bag when they find it.
You had something in here before?
Just fruit.
Fruit. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
The Department of Agriculture has Beagle brigades at 22 U.S. airports because these dogs have such a great sense of smell. It's been estimated that their ancestor the wolf can smell 100 times better than humans.
Let's go this way.
The Beagle is number 8 in the countdown because it's thought to be 10,000 times better than us at detecting odors. The Beagle's amazing nose has been developed over many generations by breeders looking for individuals with especially keen senses. That's how Beagles ended up with both sensitive schnozzles and short legs, so that their noses could be closer to the ground. Compared to a Beagle, our noses really are puny. Dogs are much better at picking up odors than we are, because when it comes to sniffing, size really does matter. If we wanted to smell things as well as a dog, we'd need a much bigger nose. A big snout has much more room for the receptor cells that detect odors. A human nose has about 40 million smell receptors covering an area of about 12 square centimeters. But if we had a snout like a dog, we'd be able to fit over 200 million receptor cells in an area 10 times larger than our nose. Even the shape of the nose enhances the dog's ability to sniff. Air is drawn straight into the nostrils, but exhaled out the side of the nose, so it doesn't interfere with the scent trail. We'd have a very different view of the world if we had a nose like a dog. But the Beagle Brigade is too busy sniffing baggage to bother with a boring fire hydrant. And with a 95% success rate, teams like Sherry Ann Keblish and her dog Trouble could be saving the U.S. millions of dollars a year.
His biggest seizure came around last year. This passenger had in her lunch bag this piece of fruit, and when we cut the fruit open, there was 20 Mediterranean fruit fly larvae. This is a major seizure because if this got established into the United States, or let's say Florida, then it costs taxpayers millions and millions of dollars to eradicate or control.
With about 19,000 international passengers arriving in the airport each day, the Beagle Brigade is certainly kept busy. Luckily, getting through all these bags requires no heavy lifting. But our next contender is the real heavyweight of the dog world. So far, we've seen super sniffers and the swiftest sprinters. But up next, we play hide and seek with a dog that's always hot on your trail. And later, we'll see a digger that really gets down and dirty. That's coming up on The Most Extreme. Our next contender has taken the wolf's strong body, thick woolly coat, and wide splayed feet to the extreme. Wolves use their feet just like snowshoes, while the hooves of their prey have the unfortunate tendency to sink in. This is a big advantage when hunting bison in winter. So it makes sense that if you want to help people stuck in the snow, you call on a descendant of the wolf. Coming in at number 7 in the countdown is the Saint Bernard. It's one of the heaviest and strongest dogs in the world, weighing in at 1.5 times the size of a wolf, and being able to pull loads of more than 2,500 kilograms. All the wolf's strength and power has been maximized, not for killing, but to save lives. Because they were born and bred in the Swiss Alps, Saint Bernards were used to rescue people lost in the snow. They've been credited with saving hundreds of lives. The Saint Bernard's strong, heavy body and keen sense of smell make them the ultimate search and rescue vehicle. But you don't have to be a saint to be a hero. Modern-day search and rescuers can find help in the unlikeliest of places. Wilma Melville searches for her next hero at the local dog shelter. When she finds a dog with a strong desire to retrieve, she knows she's onto something. Wilma works for the National Search Dog Foundation in California. She trains dogs of all breeds to rescue people in conditions far worse than a snowstorm. These dogs are saints of a different kind, searching for people trapped in the terrible aftermath of earthquakes, accidents, or bombings. Dogs in training are required to sniff through makeshift disasters, looking for human victims planted inside. It's a strange twist that the very skills that make the wolf such a great predator are now being used by dogs to save lives. The Saint Bernard may be bigger and stronger than a wolf, but it's very gentle. When we domesticated this dog, we turned the big bad wolf into a teddy bear. Unlike our next contender, which has retained more of the wolf's personality, but in a pint-sized body. Some animals know that the best place to find a meal is right under their nose. That's why the wolf uses its sense of smell and hearing to find rodents hiding underground. But because of the wolf's size, digging will only get it so far. So when farmers were looking for a way to control rodents on their farms, they had to think small. Bouncing in to number 6 in the countdown is the Parsons Russell Terrier. These tenacious hunters are less than half the height of a wolf, but those short legs and little bodies are there for a reason. Parsons Russell Terriers once hunted underground for rats. In fact, the word terrier comes from the Latin word terra, which means earth. These are the ultimate underdogs. Today, the Terriers take part in Earth Dog contests, where they follow their nose through small tunnels to find a scent marker placed at one end of the passages. But there is one terrier that does much more than just burrow underground. Meet Biscuit. Biscuit lives in Colorado with Tom Kelly. Tom is a rock climber, and so is Biscuit.
She's got these short little toes, they're nice and powerful, and she's got good balance. And look at her, how skinny she is. It's all muscle, aren't you, Biscuit? All muscle and an attitude.
Biscuit started climbing because she just kept following Tom, no matter where he went.
She just does it. She likes doing it. She has fun, just like everybody else that does it.
You just can't seem to stop this social climber from clawing her way to the top. And it's not just Biscuit that has boundless energy. All these terriers share the wolf's determination. These little dogs were definitely born to hunt, unlike our next contender, which has been bred to have a bark far worse than its bite. In the countdown so far, we've seen dogs of the underworld and real snow angels. But up next, what dog can hold a sheep with its powerful stare? And we'll discover a dog that goes undercover with canine camouflage. That's coming up on The Most Extreme. The next contender in our countdown of extreme dogs makes use of its ancestors' smarts. Wolves have to be clever when they're going head-to-head with a 2-ton bison. By working the herd, they can separate out weak or sick individuals, and once they get it surrounded, it's dinner time. Our next contender has all the herding skills of a wolf, but uses them with an extreme sense of self-control. Coming in at number 5 in the countdown is the Border Collie. The Collie is a farmer's best friend, because even though it employs the same tactics as the wolf, this dog isn't interested in killing. Farmers have never worried about breeding herding skills into the Border Collie. Instead, they've been breeding out the urge to bite. And instead of hunting in a pack like wolves, the Border Collie now works with the farmer. The dogs can understand dozens of commands, but they're still capable of thinking on their own when out of reach of their master. After all, the dog is just doing what comes naturally. The Border Collie's best weapons are their eyes. They can stare down the herd, which seems to so intimidate the sheep that they'll submit to the dog's will. Border Collies are one of the most intelligent dog breeds on Earth, but their brain power isn't always confined to life on the farm. One Border Collie in Germany is using his intelligence in more academic pursuits. This is Rico, a dog with an amazing vocabulary.
Rico, wo ist denn der Schimpanse?
Rico has learned to recognize the names of more than 200 objects. This caught the attention of scientists at the Max Planck Society. Researchers found that when they ask Rico for a toy he's never seen, using a word he's never heard, he's still able to retrieve the new object.
Hör mal, Rico, und wo ist Siebenstein?
This process of elimination is called fast mapping, and human toddlers learn new words the same way.
Ja, ganze Feinigis. Oh, I'm out.
Rico's smarts have helped scientists expand their opinions on canine intelligence. but also provided plenty of entertainment for German television viewers.
Ja, jetzt dürfen Sie klatschen.
It's just a shame that Rico hasn't yet used his extreme intelligence to help pick up all his toys. Perhaps border collies are more suited to farm work than housework. But if it seems strange having a descendant of the wolf herding sheep, coming up is a dog that crosses the border into being part of the flock itself. Wolves love sheep for only one reason.
To eat or not to eat? Bah, what a question. Eureka! I have it. I shall disguise myself as a sheep and mingle with the flock.
But our next contender is a dog that's learned to mingle with the flock and not just as a prelude to dinner.
Look, fellas, the wolf in sheep's clothing. I caught him. I caught him. Look, I caught him.
Well, how you like that?
The ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing is found in the mountains of Italy. Hiding away at number 4 in the countdown is the Maremma. It's a dog that's adopted sheep as part of the pack instead of something to attack, which is why it will drive away all intruders. A Maremma really thinks that sheep are part of its family because puppies are raised with the flock. There's little human contact, so it's not long before sheep and puppy are as one. In fact, if they're separated, a Maremma will do almost anything to reconnect with the flock. But the Maremma isn't the only animal that's looking after sheep. On a ranch in Montana, Maggie Julson was looking for a way to protect her sheep from the wolf's cousin, the coyote. That's why she hired a llama. It may not blend in with the herd like a Maremma, but it hates coyotes with a passion and can deliver powerful blows with its long legs. A native of South America, the llama is used to defending itself against predatory canines, which is why farmers using llama alarm systems can reduce their stock losses to coyotes by 14%. The Maremma is as gentle as a lamb, unless it feels threatened. Then it will fight with the ferocity of its ancestor. That's why these sheep owe their lives to the wolf that's really been welcomed into the fold. If you thought the last 2 contenders had little in common with the wolf, just wait till you see a fetching dog that we've grown really attached to. And later, what peace-loving pooch was once a fearsome fighter? Find out next on The Most Extreme. It's perfectly natural for a dog to want to fetch, especially when it's something to eat. But the next contender in the countdown is a dog that's more than happy to share. It will even bring food back to you without taking a bite for itself. This very un-wolf-like behavior is why the retriever is number 3 in the countdown. In the wild, it's usually finders keepers for the wolf. After all, it can take a lot of effort to run down a meal. So it's not surprising that there are times when a wolf just doesn't want to share. Things are very different for retrievers. They're so unselfish that today we use them to help more than just hunters. Retrievers are one of the top choices as assistance dogs for those people unable to carry things on their own. They've been bred to have soft, gentle mouths. Not only did this keep them from puncturing prey, it also keeps them from eating your homework. Retrievers are also one of the most popular dog breeds in America because the same traits bred into retrievers to make them good hunting partners also make them perfect pets. The retriever may be great at looking after us, but how can we know what their needs are? Sometimes it can be hard to know just what your dog's trying to tell you. But the Takara Toy Company in Japan has come up with the solution. They created the Bowlingual, a handheld computer linked to a microphone on the dog's neck. It translates the dog's barks so that you can finally know what they're thinking. Researchers listened to over 2,000 dogs' barks and recorded their vocal patterns as the dog's emotions changed. It claims that the Bowlingual can accurately translate for almost any dog breed. But if you want to know what Fido's saying, be careful what you wish for. He may just be asking you to take him for more walks. You don't need a receiver for a retriever. They've been hardwired to fetch almost everything because retrieving is something they just can't shake off. People used to run from wolves. But now there's a canine celebrity that's hounded by a pack of humans. Because unlike the wolf, everybody wants to meet the dog coming in at number 2 in the countdown. It's the Bulldog. With his smashed face and squat body, he's very different from the wolf. Yet despite his unorthodox looks, this Bulldog is a star. Hundreds of people line up to get a photo with the University of Georgia mascot, Uga. The Bulldog is number 2 in the countdown because not only is this dog very different from a wolf, it's very different from its own ancestors. Putting your children next to a bulldog is not something you would have done 200 years ago. The bulldog has a bloody past. They were originally bred as war dogs and also used for baiting bulls. Their noses are turned up so that they could bite bull snouts and then hold on for dear life. But when baiting bulls became illegal, these dogs were unemployed. Some people thought the breed would eventually disappear. But then, breeders got rid of the Bulldog's mean streak by choosing dogs for their gentleness. The ferocity of the past has been replaced with friendliness. Now the only battles Ugga watches are on the football field. A bulldog is the ideal animal to have as a team mascot, according to Ugga's owner, Sonny Seiler.
A bulldog is known for its determination and tenacity. They are loyal. They're ferocious looking, but they're not ferocious. It symbolizes what you would want in a football team, strength and determination.
But Ugga symbolizes something else for the university. His image provides plenty of revenue thanks to all kinds of merchandise.
We just love Ugga. I mean, we love the Bulldogs, and Ugga's just an Athens icon.
He's the bestest dog in the whole wide world.
We want to raise him up right to be a Bulldog fan. To teach him to bark.
Ugga fans may be barking mad about their Poochie pinup, but as we near the end of the countdown, there can only be one top dog. We've seen the 9 contenders. They're the best of the best. Only one dog is a more extreme canine. It's number 1, and it's coming up next on the most extreme. No self-respecting wolf would ever let a human treat it like a baby.
Look, let's talk this thing over man to muscle. I'm getting tired of being treated like an infant.
Why, that's wonderful!
I'll say.
But the dog that's number 1 in the countdown will never tire of being treated like an infant, because it's been bred for centuries just for that purpose. From out of Mexico comes the Chihuahua. No other dog is less like a wolf. Chihuahuas were meant to be babied. They're the smallest dog breed in the world, never getting heavier than a newborn human baby. But don't be fooled by the Chihuahua's cuddly exterior. These dogs are smart. They fooled us into looking after their every need. We may just be hardwired to coddle dogs like the Chihuahua. According to some psychiatrists, their big eyes and round face resemble human babies, which triggers a cute response, making us want to cuddle them. Today, some people are driven to remove all traces of the wolf from their canine companions. And now, it's not just Chihuahuas that can be transformed with a little makeover. Milka Krull has a problem dog. Bachi is dirty, spoiled, and in desperate need of a pedicure. That's why she's visiting Gorilla Makeovers in San Francisco. John Wayne and John Peel provide makeovers that turn dirty dogs into city slickers.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, we look like we need a little grooming.
I think everyone should get a makeover, and I think everyone should get a makeover for their pet.
Today is just going to be a phenomenal experience for both Milka and Bachi. Come on, Bachi, let's go. Let's go. Come on.
The team began by working on Bachi's bad behavior.
Mike Wambacher, who's a dog trainer and obedience specialist and is a great friend of ours.
Bachi's a little bit of a wild child. He basically does what he wants. He marks inside the house and doesn't really listen to commands.
Stay. He needs to understand that the option to refuse to comply is no longer valid. Okay?
Quiet.
Stay.
Sit. No. Sit.
Stay. If you really do it and commit to it, you will have a different relationship with your dog where he not only loves you but also respects you.
And we're off to the top.
Yes.
Bye, Bachi.
Bye.
Lois Williams is Bachi's stylist for the day.
So do you think we want a bow on him?
Bows are no. The bows are 80s. We don't want bows. Ready to go? Ready to try on some clothes? Who's there in the colors? Who do we think this is? I think it's Mom. She's so excited to see you.
How white you are.
We'll see you again, I'm sure.
We'll see you in town. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bachi only had a day to change his look. But the Chihuahua's amazing transformation took place over several centuries. We've turned the wild wolf into a dog that has us waiting on it hand and foot. The only part of the wolf that remains is its sociability. Their need to bond with each other has been turned into a knack for bonding with us. So perhaps there's just a little bit of the wolf in the heart of even the most pampered pet. But when it comes to cuddly canines, there's no doubt that the Chihuahua really is the most extreme.